Hey, good morning. It's a beautiful day here at Hot Licks, and today I'm going to talk about my secret on how to smoke a brisket. When you smoke meat, it is not about cooking. Smoking meat is really about knowing how to burn wood, how to start a fire, and what kind of wood to burn, and how to control the temperature and the smoke. So, what we start here is we put the wood in here. And it takes about an hour to get the wood to the right temperature. Once you put the meat inside, you let the fire do the work. Our temperature, we cook at about 220 degrees, what they often say low and slow. I give all of mine a name. This is called Wild Black Betty. Each smoker has its own personality. Each smoker smokes a little bit different, and you learn about that. So I give them, this one is Wild Black Betty because it's a wild smoker. It's small and it's sometimes out of control. So let's talk about a brisket. This is a American imported brisket. I like to import American briskets because Americans know how to butcher a brisket for smoking. They do a lot of smoking. And then if there's a lot of fat here, I slice into it a little bit, just like that. And then I look at the other end. So we're gonna trim that. And that's all I want to trim. And I want to teach you just the basics, salt and pepper. Later on, you can experiment with adding cumin or other spices, but that's up to you. So we use salt and pepper. And before we do that, I just take some regular mustard and I put some of that. I love mustard, the Emperor steak sauce. It's been my favorite sauce. So I just put a little bit on here. So this is about brisket. This is my favorite meat to smoke because it's magical. And after we smoke it, it becomes so tender. I like to put it one at a time. And I start on the side and I use my hand and I bounce the pepper off and we go all the way around. And then we go to the inside. I like a lot of pepper on my brisket. And then we use sea salt. You don't want to use table salt. It's a little bit rougher. And I just kind of hit it on the side. I'm not a big salt guy. I try to watch my salt intake. We're going to then to the bottom side. And here you have to be a little more careful because you don't have any fat. We also sell tri-tips. It's a cut of meat that they use in California, and they run about 2 to 2.5 kilos. So for home use, if you don't want to deal with a monster like this, unless you have a big party. Okay, and that's going to do it. We want to rub it in a little bit so you don't get a cluster of that. Then we turn it back around. I like fat side up because I want that fat to penetrate through the meat. We open this up and we put it like this. And now you leave it alone. Forget about it for an hour. And after an hour, or sometimes depending on a big piece, maybe even after 2 hours, I like to give it what we call the wash. So 1 bottle of beer to 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. Do not use rice wine or white wine or red wine. You want to use apple cider. Loves pepper. So I put in a generous amount of pepper. And for the wash, brown sugar. Easy on the salt. because we already have salted the meat. So a little bit, like maybe 2 tablespoons, and about 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. This brisket's gonna love this. I put the mop in here, and we mop it after the first hour. We mop it every hour until the first 6 hours. I open the chamber, and I give it a generous mopping. I want to close it. I don't want to heat. I don't want to lose heat, nor do I want to use smoke. So this has to be done very quickly. I can't wait 6 hours here. So I have one already prepared that's ready for the next step. So now it's about 6 hours, and we've removed the brisket. It's time for the next step. To accelerate the process and get the meat moist and break down all of the collagen, we call for the Texas cheat. Now in Texas we use butcher paper or aluminum foil. And I put it on the bottom. That really just prevents the brisket from getting too dry or burn. That's been in about 6 hours. It's reached an internal temperature of 160 degrees. But one of the more important parts of smoking a brisket. And you want to make sure that you have no holes, no punctures, so that no steam can escape. We want to cover this part. And now we put it back. So I put this brisket for 2 hours at 220 degrees. So folks, here it is. We've had the brisket in for 6 hours. We then wrapped it in foil and put it in for another 2 hours. And then we left it in for another 12 hours. So let's see what we got here. This is the moment of truth. We unwrap it and we see what we have. Ooh-wee. Look at that. Oh, I wish this was a smell-o-vision. You need to smell this. It's marvelous. The smaller. And the first thing I do is I come right along here, so it's about level, and I come right across. And this is beautiful for sandwich meat. You chop that all up. And some people like this part of the brisket. It's got a little bit more of the smokiness and so forth. So this here at the restaurant, we put aside, and that's where we put our brisket sandwiches. The wonderful part about brisket, you can slice it with the grain or across the grain. And you come across like that, and the pit master, this is his cut. This is what I eat. And the funny part is, as you, even though you start at this angle, it eventually becomes square. Or you can go right to this part. This is where you got the fat and the juice and everything. Right here. You can even take this and cut it like that if you want smaller slices. This is so tender, this is so wonderful. But this is all wonderful meat. So a lot of people like a combination of this and this. And that's it. That's all I have on a brisket today. Next we're going to get into how to cook steaks, how to make sauces for your steaks. I want to teach kids how to make a hamburger. You know, we're going to have a lot of fun in the coming weeks, and I hope you tune in next one. Appreciate it. Have a nice weekend, and I'm going to eat all this now.